The lieutenant looks and says, "I don't know if I'm at liberty to share results of the investigation, my investigations with you." And Nevi kind of looks at Cassie as like, "Yeah, don't push that," because he's really not allowed to.
Well, consider these extenuating circumstances.
Am I allowed to talk about my interview to other people?
Typically, the interrogations are meant to be kept one-on-one with between the police and the person being interrogated, more for your sake, not for our sake.
Good to know.
He turns to Nevi and he hands him a note and says, "We need to go interrogate this person next." And Nevi looks at it and says, "Oh, well, that's easy. She's right over there." And she points at Cassie. "You're Cassandra Pine?"
Yeah, that's me.
He says, "Can I ask you a few questions, Miss Pine?"
Am I under arrest, officer?
"No."
Then I'm afraid you can't.
He says, "But you can help save somebody today."
Look, if you're not going to be open with me about everything, I see no reason why I have to be open with you.
"That's your choice. I can't force you. I asked Miss Sinclair permission to ask her questions. She said that was fine. Your friend over there is right. I can't force any of you to become interrogated without a lawyer, unless I ask permission. If you say no, that is fine. I'm just telling you, it would probably be in everybody's best interests if you can trust me."
Well, Cassie will glance at Noire, particularly at the whole, asking permission, fairness thing, just to see if she had any sort of reaction or response.
I was kind of hoping to get more information on where my brother might be or what was going on. Got more than I expected. She kind of whispers to you. I think they think I did it.
Cool. Nevi looks at Cassie, and she kind of says, "Cassie, he's cool."
All right, well, she'll look at Nevi and just hold her gaze for a few seconds, and then finally let out a bit of a sigh, like, "All right, fine. What are your questions?"
He'll nod down the hallway.
And she'll look at Nevi again.
She'll say, "If there's any questions that you don't want to answer, you can just tell him." And Lieutenant Jenny says, "She's right."
She nods and then looks back at the lieutenant and says, "All right, lead the way then."
All right.
Molly will say, "By the way, Cassie, close your..."
Close your...
Glances back. Oh.
Molly's
She'll pinch it as she walks.
You'll be sent to another room. And he says, "Miss Pine, this is going to go very quickly. I don't ask questions unless they're very important. Right. So if they sound insignificant to you, I'm going to have to ask you to take a leap of faith."
Well, we'll see where this goes. I make no promises.
"Miss Pine, how long have you known Miss Sinclair?"
So she'll shrug a little bit and say, "We're nearing our first month."
"How do you know her? How did you meet her?"
"Oh, I just saw posting for Roommate Wanted, and thought I'd check out the place."
"Oh, so you live together?"
Yeah.
"What's the address?"
She will give it.
Okay. You mean you didn't write it down, Riz, when Ella said it?
I thought she was making something up on the spot, so I was thinking. I remember it's the 7th floor.
No, I'm sure you know what your address is.
Yeah, Cassie would know.
During that 2 weeks' time, do you feel that you have a relatively good grasp of her character?
She'll start to nod a little slowly at first, but then, pick up. Like, yeah, no, I think so.
What is your honest opinion of her character?
I think that Noire can be a little quirky at times, but I feel like everything she does is with the best intentions.
As far as you know, since you've been rooming with her, has she ever left the city?
No.
Okay. Has she ever behaved in a way that would lead you to believe that she was not herself?
No, not at all.
As far as you know, what has she been doing over the last 3 days? Give or take.
She's either been working, she was at the was it a mall? Are we calling it that? Yeah, the department store. That's the word. She was at the department store, when the explosion happened. Aside from that, she's just been at the apartment with us.
He then asks, I believe that you and her had breakfast yesterday morning, correct?
As people typically do, yeah.
He then says, was there anything specifically interesting that happened during your conversation with each other yesterday morning?
Yeah. Money was added to her account.
He says, do you know approximately how much money was added to her account?
It's like 5,000?
How did she tell you?
Oh, well, she was just checking on her phone, and she showed me. She didn't know what to make of it.
And she seemed genuinely surprised.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what she did about it?
I told her to look into it, for security reasons, and so she said she'd take care of it.
Does the name Madison mean anything to you?
Madison what?
He says, just Madison. Does that name mean anything to you?
She shrugs a little like, I don't think so. Definitely not in this context.
Right. Miss Pine, I'm going to level with you.
Fine.
The reason why I'm asking these questions is because we have reason to believe that somebody has stolen Miss Sinclair's identity. Somebody has been impersonating her. I've been asking you a series of questions just to see if your story is matching with hers and everybody else's story, so I can determine which Noire I'm speaking with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did she happen to mention any other phone calls she may have made?
Other than to a Madison, no.
All right.
That is why I asked about her. Should I know about any other phone calls she's made?
Not that I'm aware of.
During my investigations, I have found a very distinct difference between the Noire that's currently at this hospital and a Noire that I interrogated earlier this morning.
Noire's been here all morning.
Yes, I verified that, which means that the other Noire back at the station is a completely different person.
So you're saying this isn't just identity theft, but someone is literally Noire right now?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Where is this person currently?
At the station, locked up.
All right, well, I think it's only fair that we get to go meet her.
Normally, that would be unorthodox. However, since you are her roommate, I'm not opposed to this idea.
But just me then?
Yes.
All right, well, in that case, I guess, when are we going?
He says, I suppose, once you get something to eat and the Joys have given you the okay, that it's safe for you to leave the premises.
All right.
I'm assuming Miss Sinclair would like to join as well.
That's what I was wondering about, honestly. Well, best we ask, I guess.
Indeed.
All right, any other questions, or are we good?
No, Miss Pine. Thank you. Miss Pine, are we good?
Time will tell.
Fair enough. And then he will escort you out.
As she pinches the back of her gown.
During this time, the Nurse Joy has come back, and she has your clothes. She says, all right, here are your clothes, sir, she says. And I brought you some sausage, there's some eggs, and some hash browns. I don't know if you like ketchup with your hash browns, but I brought it anyway.
I'll take them plain. Thank you.
Sure. All right. When she puts the clothes next to you, and while you're eating, she says, "Let me run some tests on you, Mr. Doe. What is your real name?"
It's and he thinks for a while, as if he's going through a list. It's Polly.
Polly. I like that name.
It's because I speak a
Do you
lot.
have-
People just call me Polly.
Your last name?
It's Graf, ma'am.
She goes over and starts taking your blood pressure. And she says, "They said that they found you without any identification. Have you, if you don't mind me asking, have you been out on the streets?"
Yes, I have.
She says, "This might sound like some empty words, but I'm sorry to hear that."
We generally go nameless on the street, so I'm used to it.
Unfortunately, you are not the first. I've seen several people in your situation that have gone through these walls. Many of them don't come back out.
He starts looking for exits.
But so far, you actually seem to be in relatively good health. She's going to run a few more tests. I think that we should be able to release you very shortly after you finish breakfast. She says, though, if you wish to stay a few days longer, you're welcome to. Like I said, the cafeteria food isn't much, but it's something.
I'll be okay. I would like to leave as soon as I can.
All right. Well, the offer is there if you want it.
I appreciate it.
Once we release you, we can't take you back. At least not unless something else happens to you. If you understand.
I do, and hopefully nothing will happen to me.
She continues checking you out. She says, "There's some really interesting marks on your body, Mr. Graff."
It's just words. They don't have any meaning.
Do they actually look like names out of character?
Yes.
Do they actually look like names?
Numbers and...
She says, "They look like people that might be important to you. Otherwise, why would you have them on your body?"
They're people in my head. I like to tell stories, and these are characters in this story. I have trouble remembering sometimes, so I like to keep these stories alive.
She smiles a little bit. "I understand that. I know it's not the same thing, but my grandmother suffers from Alzheimer's disease, and it can be very, very difficult. I think that it'll be very hard one day when I come visit her and she doesn't remember who I am. But I know that day is going to come, and it actually frightens me."
It frightens me as well.
She gives your shoulder a little bit of a friendly squeeze, and then she finishes wrapping up, and she says, "All right, Mr. Graff, I just need you to sign some paperwork, and if you wish to change, you're free to go."
Thank you. And he grabs his hoodie.
Okay. So you can start to head out the door. I'm just out of curiosity, where are you gonna go? Where are you planning on heading?
I'm going to look for any sign of where the other ones might have walked to, actually.
Yeah, I think you will relatively be able to figure out where they went.
Just right over here.
Yeah. I'll say that you'll end up catching up to them by the time the lieutenant is bringing back Cassie. So you'll be dressed now, fully dressed in your outfit, in your hoodie, and you'll find the ward where everybody has gathered, conveniently gathered now.
For once.
For once.
So Chase
Hey, everyone's here. About time.
and Chase sees Black
Chase.
bringing Casey down the hall. Huh? Am I already in the room with the rest of them outside of Cassie when he comes in? So it's pretty much
Mr. Rhodes.
Lieutenant.
He says, fancy meeting you here.
I didn't expect to be here.
Oh?
Just I think we all partied a little bit too hard last night. Drank a little bit too much.
He gives a little bit of a small crooked smile and says, "Oh, I know what that's like."
It's fun to imagine.
I don't know about that. Are you questioning people in this room? Is that what's going on?
We're
Yes.
about to leave.
Nevi looks at Chase and says, "Hey, are you that guy on YouTube?"
Chase, you're famous.
What?
Congrats.
You're a celebrity.
I don't own a camera. Why would I be on YouTube?
Captain Peace, ring a bell?
I don't know. Your outfit looks similar to this really awesome video I saw on YouTube. I guess it's just a coincidence.
What was in the video?
She said this guy ran up a building, saving a whole bunch of people from the explosion that happened a couple days.
I see. Well, if it was recorded, I guess it must be true. Because video is better than memories, huh? Makes
Not
things last
necessarily.
forever.
She says, "I don't know. I guess it could have been photoshopped or whatever it is you call that, but I don't know. It looked pretty real to me."
So you're saying it might have been an impersonator?
She says, "I didn't say that."
I should trademark my likeness then, huh?
Yes, you should.
Very distinct.
And he looked. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna go deeper into this.
He's Lieutenant Jenny's. By this point, the Joy has come in and started looking over Cassie and Noire, and they gave the okay to release them. They'll give the okay for Molly and Tiffany shortly after that.
So how about
And,
clothes?
Yeah, they'll give your clothes back.
Yay.
The lieutenant will say, "Well, if you excuse us, Miss Sinclair and Miss Pine and I are heading over to the station."
To do what?
That's a good question.
"To continue with the
Why?
investigation," Nevi says.
Are these two people involved in the investigation?
They were. Now one of them asked to be.
He'll look at both of them and
Ella's face.
just nod.
Noel's not speaking, just giving Cassandra a look like, why are you getting us more involved?
Miss Sinclair, he says, "You and I talked about the situation. I guess I was going to offer for you to meet the individual."
Yeah, don't feel
Yes,
pressured.
That's probably a good idea. Probably no who's trying to impersonate me. I'm kind of waiting for information on my brother, though. Would I be able to get that at the station?
Miss Nurse Joy basically said, "Yes," she says, "your brother was taken to the... There's a separate ward specifically for psychics, because it's a lot more protective. Yes, he's over at this ward, which you know is the psychic ward."
Why is he in that ward?
She says, I don't know, ma'am. You just asked me to look up where he is, and that's all I've looked up for you.
You,
Rest hand on Noire's shoulder. It'll be okay. Deep breaths. It'll be okay.
we're all hearing this, huh? We're all hearing this exchange.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to go see him?
You are. You said that she's your
Okay.
brother, right? Family members are allowed to visit.
Yeah. Okay. I should see.
Yeah, Miss O'Care, Lieutenant Jenny says, if you are not going to come to the station with me, that's completely up to you. He says, but I did want to give you this. You can, it's up to you whether or not you want to call the number or not. If you just want to throw it away, that's fine. I just wanted to give it to you in case you needed somebody to talk to. And he gives you a card, and on the card it's actually a card to a psychiatric, like a shrink basically, for Dr. Alicia Pearl.
Oh.
It's for Dr. Alicia
ew.
Pearl. It's her phone number.
Great.
If you're going to throw it away, he says, at least do it when I'm not in the room, he says. But I at least wanted to make sure I gave it to you.
Okay. Thanks.
And then he will
Chase will just
escort.
look at the card real quick and say, and then look at her and say, they send crazy people there, huh?
Thanks for telling the world that.
Molly, for convenience sake, I'm gonna say that you can at least catch, like, the card, and you'll notice it's Dr. Alicia Pearl. You'll
Yeah,
notice.
Molly will look at it and she'll just freeze. She'll look at it and she'll say, oh my gosh, Dr. Pearl, I haven't talked to her in years. Oh my gosh. Well, sorry, like.
She says that out loud?
Not in years, in months.
Okay.
Yeah.
But does she say that out loud?
She does. And she's excited. She's very excited to get the number.
Was that right after Chase's crazy comment?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't spoken to my shrink in months. Yes.
Well, that explains a lot.
Oh, gee.
And she'll say,
Wow.
Noire, please, if you're going to throw this away, let me have it.
I'll
just
hang on
write
to
the
it and
number
give you
down.
a copy later. But I think I should probably go see this impersonator in case they get out of jail and try and, I don't know, stalk me or something. Because
Are we not going to see
I
Fabian
don't want my
first?
brother getting hurt by that crazy. I want to, but I need to make sure this crazy person is not going to, like, come and hurt my brother, which is sounding a little bit hypocritical right now because I've got this card, but I'm not insane.
We know.
I'm sure
We
a
believe
few minutes won't make that difference. I mean, officer says that they have her right now in custody, right? So, glance at Lieutenant. And you have faith that she's secure there?
He says she should be. We have cells that are designed specifically for psychics. Yes.
Okay. So Cassie will nod and look back to Nora and say, I think before we go, you should see your brother.
Okay, I'll trust you to handle this impersonator.
Oh,
Good luck.
no. Like hell, I'm waiting for you. She's going to look at the lieutenant and say, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get dressed. We're going to head up and see him, and then we'll head to the station.
He looks like he clearly would prefer heading to the station now, but he's not going to nod without saying anything. Very well. We can wait. Nevi says, all right, fine with me. So you guys are going to first go into the ward where they keep all of the psychics. And this part of the hospital, you can see that there are several people in beds, and they're either unconscious or they look a little bit lethargic. And you know that this is like a natural side effect of people who have been given their PB&J. and there you see that there's a room where somebody is panicking, and there's somebody who's like making a lot of gibberish. It's not Fabian. It's some other. This one's like a random female psychic, who's making a lot of gibberish, and there are objects floating around the room, and there's like a team of Nurse Joys trying to keep this woman down while they try to inject her with something. Things are like flying around all over the place, and they're trying really hard to keep her under control, because she's basically yelling out not only gibberish but like profanities, like it's almost like it's almost similar to I don't know how many of you guys have seen The Exorcist, like your mom sucks blah, like stuff like that, almost like she's possessed by a devil or something. She's just spouting random things, and it's kind of scary and creepy. The unfortunate thing is this is how a lot of some psychics go mad and crazy like that, and as a result have inadvertently hurt people because they haven't been able to like keep their mind under control. There's something about psychics who are more susceptible to having schizophrenia and things like of that nature, because of everything that's buzzing in their head. It's hard for them to. Go ahead.
So the madness then is from like inherently from the psychic nature, not from the PBJ?
Yes. That's mostly from the psychic nature, not from the PBJ. The PBJ is supposed to sedate that so that they're no longer, seeing hallucinations, or at least being violent about the hallucinations.
Okay.
You can also overhear a couple people in one of the wards talking about their displeasure at the curfew and all of the things going on with the stuff with the psychics, and you actually hear one of them says, if I wasn't stuck in this bed, I'd join the revolution as well. Shh! You shouldn't say that. Someone will hear you. It's like, I don't care if anybody hears us. I think everyone in this ward needs to band together and take back our rights. It's not fair, and it's not right. I don't know if any of you guys if you just ignore that and keep going, or if you're going to say anything, but if not, then...
Filing it away for later.
Okay.
Yeah, could Cassie briefly stop and listen in a little?
Okay. You can listen in a little, and you can overhear one of them saying, "Have you been going to any of the meetings? With." He says, "The meetings. Oh, yeah, I have. But I don't think that she's moving forward fast enough. I think that things are accelerating really quickly, and we need to do something about it. What exactly do you want to do? You're kind of scaring me here." And he says, "I don't know. Something really impactful. Something that'll wake everybody up. Something like what happened at the department store a couple days ago." And he says, "I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know." And that's all that they.
So are they in their own room, or like?
They're in their own like room. They're like talking across the curtains, basically.
And the door's just like slightly ajar, or whatever.
There's like slightly ajar. There's no Nurse Joys around, so I think they believe that their conversation is okay.
Okay. Cassie then will glance toward the others and just say, "I'll catch up in a sec. All right."
Okay.
People are like, "Okay, whatever."
Do you want someone to stay, or looks at group, looks at Cassie?
Yes, go. I need to check my cell phone real quick.
Okay, so Tiffany and Cassie stay behind. What do you do?
Well, first I do want to make sure. It seemed like Shay might have wanted. Is he moving on?
If once Tiffany says that, he nods, and
Okay.
whatever's up, it's going to be two of you guys left. He just didn't want one person to be left behind.
Okay.
Gotcha. Go on, Petra.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you heard that right?
Yeah. I take it you did too then?
Yeah.
Actually, how close are we to the door? As in, I don't want the people we just overheard overhearing us.
I figure we're being even more careful than they were.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to them real quick. Do you want to stay here?
No, I can follow along.
All right. So for now, she'll set Fern down, but Fern is totally able to do whatever she wants. If she wants to come with her or not. But then she'll quietly open the door and just step inside until I guess she can see the people who were talking.
Yeah, you go in and you see, and it's a man and a woman. I mean, they're probably in their early 20s, I would say. You've never seen them before. There's no like particularly distinguishing features about this man and woman. So they notice you come in and they say, "Hi, can we help you?"
Yeah, so she'll put her finger to her lips and then glance back at Tiffany and gesture for her to close the door.
Very quietly does so.
Okay. And then if they have nothing else immediately to say, Cassie will look back at them and say, "You guys got to be more quiet when you're talking about things like this. We can hear in the hallway, right?"
Oh. How much exactly did you hear? The girl
Revolution.
says. Oh.
We pretty much heard the whole thing.
Are you guys undercover?
We're visiting someone here, don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're not going to rat you out.
He blushes a little bit. You notice when he said, "Are you undercover?" he was looking at the part of your chest where there should be a pin, but you're not wearing a pin. So that's why he asked that question.
Right, yeah. So she was trying to give a sort of roundabout thing.
Sorry, he says, we're just... all of the craziness that's going on with all of these new rules, it just makes us really upset.
That's totally understandable.
I mean, if they're going to get away with this, who knows what else this is going to lead to, right?
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to tell Sabrina.
You give them an inch, they think they're a ruler.
Exactly.
So you understand.
Yeah, so about this revolution and the meetings you talked about, who did you say was in charge?
She looks a little hesitant. Roll a charm. Roll a charm.
Can I roll bluffs and some more acting a part?
Yeah, sure. I'll allow that.
Guile, sorry, bluff.
Yeah, I'll allow that. That's fine.
Okay.
Anything I could do to aid.
You can roll a guile yourself to help
I'm good
aid
at that
her
stat.
guile. To help her guile.
Yeah,
No, 10 is fine.
Hurt me. I have 5 in that.
Yeah.
You have 5 dice in your guile?
Yeah, that's what I need for smart contests.
Oh, hey,
18.
I have 3.
You also roll 2 6s.
Sabrina, she says, Sabrina has been running some meetings just talking about, I guess, plan Bs in case our demonstrations have been falling on deaf ears, which they kind of have been lately. I think that several of us have voiced our interests in, applying a little bit more to our anteing up, basically. A bunch of us we're just talking about her just anteing up. She's been resisting all throughout this entire time, but we've been trying to convince her to be a lot more, I guess, forceful.
Well, yeah, I mean, for all her talk, she's clearly not getting much done.
It's that Kearney woman. I can't stand her.
Ugh, I know, right?
I think she's running for president. I know she's probably going to. And I can tell you, things are not going to change for the better with her. Although she does have a lot of very strong supporters, I know. I don't know why.
She's powerful, she's built up an aura of power, and probably made very powerful friends along the way. That's the way it normally works.
Not only that, but she's clearly playing towards people's fears with all this.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of powerful friends as well, and we can definitely play on people's fears if necessary. the woman says.
Yeah, but when you do it, it makes people more afraid of you. When she does it, it gets them to do what she wants. You do see the difference, yes?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like we have very many options left. We've been painted to a corner for years. We're tired of being in the corner.
Understandable.
Are these meetings a regular thing then? Because I've totally been missing them if that's the case.
Same.
They do occur regularly, yes, every other week.
Well, I guess you're not really able to attend while you're in here, huh?
No. Although I spoke with a friend of mine about last night's emergency meeting that happened right after Miss Kearney made her announcement, and yeah, I know that Sabrina's starting to have some second thoughts on her resistance to taking more action against, well, the higher ups.
Well, it's about time then. How would I go about getting myself on this mailing list?
I'm sure if you give me your email address, we can add you to it.
Sounds
If
reasonable
you're
enough.
willing to be an ally.
Yeah.
Most of the
course.
people who come to the meetings are psychics themselves, but we also do have allies who are supporting us too.
It's good to have friends.
Like you said, this is a human rights issue.
Yeah. Civil liberty actually springs to mind.
Yes. Sabrina's worried, though, that this might backfire. If we end up trying to raise things up, that'll only cause Miss Kearney to elevate and tighten her grip around us. But it's there. The threshold's been crossed. The line and the sand has already been stepped over.
You just can't be too hasty. The issue here is how it's executed.
At any rate, we can't do anything while we're in here.
Is there anyone you'd like us to contact on the outside, maybe?
She says, no, we got our phones still.
Okay.
So they're not watching you too closely.
No, not yet.
Oh, and actually, Hark. So out of character, of course. Would these patients, like all the ones we passed by and everything, have their pins? I mean, because clearly the people here are psychics, but like pins for the joys or whatever to know like what level or.
They probably would still have the pins on their gowns. They probably would still have them.
What
there,
color
I
are
would
they?
think.
What are these two? Yeah.
These two are one is the man is orange, the woman is yellow.
Okay.
The man is orange, the woman is yellow.
Cool.
Okay.
Anything else?
Gives them her email.
Okay. They'll add you to the mailing list.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. No, thanks for keeping us in the loop here.
Sure. And thanks for, I guess, listening to us rant.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Except remember to rant more quietly.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Meanwhile, the rest of the group make their way to another ward. And you can tell that in this section, there's a lot more joys around. There are a few Officer Jennies in security guard outfits. Actually, we'll just say there's generic like hospital guards, like security guards, who are male and female. These are not officers, but they make sure that they keep the peace. And you notice that there are surveillance cameras in this section of the ward. You notice that the security is a lot tighter here, and you believe it's because this is the section of the hospital specifically for levels green and above. All levels green and above are in this one, and that's why the security here is a lot tighter. And you'll finally get to a section where you see Fabian, and he's asleep, and there's a nurse that's like looking through his at his vitals right now. Yes.
Excuse me, nurse. I'm the sister of young Fabian here.
Oh,
I
you're Miss Nausicaa Sinclair.
yes.
You're awake.
I was wondering. Yes, came as soon as I was finished talking to the police. Is he okay? What happened? Why is he here?
Well, we found you and several people in your apartment unconscious, so we took you in. Your brother was exhibiting some very peculiar behavior that suggested that he was also a psychic. When was the last time, just out of curiosity, that you took him to take his test, his examination?
A while ago. Maybe a
She
year ago.
she's looking at her records and says, "Yes, I see here that he went through his examinations roughly January of last year because out of character, Madison made sure that she put that in there, that detail in there." And then she says, "Apparently the results came out negative, that he wasn't a psychic. We had to run a few tests
Yeah.
because he was levitating on his own accord, asleep."
That's never happened before.
We've run several tests and found out that he's not psychic.
Okay, why is he here? Why was he levitating?
We just found out the results of the test just recently. We haven't transferred him yet.
Okay.
Why was he levitating? After running a few more tests, Miss Sinclair, we discovered that your brother, he is aura sensitive. Do you know what that means?
Do I know what that means?
Roll an occult. Roll an occult, please. Ella, you don't know what that is.
What?
I don't know much about it myself, but apparently, in very rare cases, there are people who are aura sensitive, aura being energy from the spirit itself. You could also call it energy from the soul itself. At any rate, there are extremely few cases, fewer than even psychics, of people who are very sensitive to being able to harness the energy of aura, either their own or even other people's. Fabian seems to show signs of being a relatively strong aura manipulator. And many times it's aura manipulation can be mistaken for psychic manipulation because many of their effects appear similar, but they're not the same exactly.
Okay. Nora's going very, very pale at this news and a little bit shaky as she asks, is it more common with people who have had near-death experiences?
No, but it is more common for people who are on the spectrum. Many people who are in the spectrum, from my understanding, they tend to have a hard time expressing themselves, communicating with themselves, so they rely on a lot of things internally. And thus, because they rely on things internally, it actually digs even deeper to their very souls themselves, which manifests into aura sensitivity.
Okay, so what does this mean? Does it need to be registered?
So they don't have the thing where like there's different levels of aura sensitivity. It's just something that people have. And a lot of this is out of character because historically people with auras normally are seen in a more positive light than people with psychics because people with auras can't technically manipulate. They can't manipulate people's minds. Some of them do have empathy, just like telepaths can. Some of them do have empathy, but they can't force somebody to do something. So that's why they're not considered to be as dangerous, because you can't brainwash someone through the aura. People with auras can generate powerful blasts of energy, almost Kamehameha-like. But that doesn't make them any more dangerous than, say, someone with a Pokemon with Aura Beam, if that makes sense. So that's why it's not as... Yeah, that's why it's not as much of a stigma. This is just something to be aware of, and he doesn't seem to, unfortunately, be able to have full control over it. So she says, I'm just letting you know that currently there isn't anything that we've been able to research medically yet that can keep it under control except for your standard sedatives.
Oh, so okay.
I know this is a lot to absorb, Miss Sinclair.
Yeah, this day just keeps getting worse.
We have reason to believe that there might be some connection between him acting up last night and perhaps causing all of you to fall asleep.
I don't know. I don't know how aura works.
There's a lot about auras that we don't know. I'm afraid that is a realm that we know far less about than even psychics.
Okay.
Do your dampeners work on auras?
The PBs and Js do not, because what they do is they apply blockers to signals that are fired in the brain. The source of this energy is not from the brain, it's from the soul itself. That's why it's a lot harder to... Science has had a lot more success studying the brain, not the soul, if that makes sense.
Molly will speak up. She'll say, let's just say, for example, one of the gods wanted to speak to us somehow. Could they contact us through someone's aura?
That's a very good question.
Let's say, for example, Cresselia.
So off the record, this is not giving me any medical advice. Off the record, as someone who is an avid follower of Mew, she says, I believe that Mew can communicate with us through our spirit. So I guess the same could be true about other gods.
Thank you. I was just curious.
Wait, so for example, if that was true, would a certain distortion, rule of the distortion realm, lord of the underworld, would he, if that was true, would that conceivably also be true that guy could channel or be contact through Fabian's aura?
Like who, for example?
He's known as the ruler of the distortion dimension. I don't really like saying his name.
Oh, yes. She says, I don't use his name either, actually. More of a habit from childhood. Yes, I believe that, at least I believe that if we don't act according to the rules of our God, that when we pass on, we could either go to the good place or the bad place. The distortion world being the bad place.
Right. Thanks. She's kind of nervously rubbing her bracelets.
So I sense you're a religious person there, Nurse Joy.
Yes.
So how do the unknowns fit in?
From what I remember from my studies, the unknown, the way that we were taught, was basically the origins of language in the world. they basically created language, thus speech, and thus spurred on knowledge, civilization as we know it.
She might ask for a moment alone with her brother, but tell Molly and Chase to stay.
Sure. Your brother seems to be out of his trance, though. I've been checking his brainwaves, and very recently he's I guess out of his aura trance. He just seems to be sleeping right now. I wouldn't necessarily wake him up yet, though. I was going to at least wait another hour.
I might come back a while later. Let's look at him for a little bit. She'll like run her hand through her hair, and like then she'll look at Chase and Molly and go, so you guys know anything about Pokemon gods? How to like make them not mind you?
I never really had the time to worry about the gods. Spent too much time just trying to survive.
Okay.
Are there any temples nearby, or out of character temples or churches or whatever religious building?
I will say that Saffron City probably has most of the major legendary gods. They probably have like shrines or churches for most of them.
Molly says, I think a visit to Chryselia's church is in order for me next.
I need to figure out a way to block Fabian's connection. I can't lose him again. Garroting is not distortion. Ruler of distortion realm's not happy. Oh gosh. This is the last thing I need to do. Sorta. Remember how we all said we committed crimes in the dream world? My crime was
Against the god?
also theft.
Are you trying to say that you have a connection with Giratina?
I
Where are you
might
from,
stole
Noire?
something
Like, where are you from?
along my way. Kalos, kind of.
With an impersonator here, huh? So, you're not from around here, are you?
Yes, I'm not from around here.
And this is the first
I can't really
time-
give back what I stole.
And this is the first time you've heard anything about auras?
Yeah. I didn't think gods could contact people directly like that. If gods can contact, the Chrysella can contact us through Fabian, possibly, then this other guy could contact him, and I'm not going to give my brother back.
Are we still talking about a real person, or are we talking about gods?
Gods, my brother had a near-death experience. I had to get him back, so I got him back. Giratina wasn't happy with me messing with the balance of souls and stuff. He wasn't really happy with me doing that. So there's
You took your brother back from Giratina?
Who did you make a deal with
uh,
to get that to happen? Did you make a deal
a
with
different Pokemon god. Yeah, just Hoopa that had. He was quite nice. He was cool about it. Just because I want to bring back one, and I chose Fabian.
Who was the
Everyone
other?
else was,
Could only
Yeah.
bring back one.
had to understand everyone else was gone. I had to bring someone back.
Who was the other?
Who was the other what?
The one you didn't bring back. You chose one.
There were 3 other choices.
So you left 2 behind.
I left 3 behind. Itoli, my Pokemon, my father's Pokemon.
Molly's gonna go up to Noire. Molly's gonna go up to Noire and like kind of just give her a hug.
Yeah. No one's going to hug you as well. You can tell, like, she hasn't really talked to this about anyone.
Molly says, I would not wish that kind of choice on anyone.
I'm not sure I made the right choice now. This happened to Fabian and everything. What if I made the wrong choice?
You
If I
can't,
brought back my father, at least.
You can't know that.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to work on what to do next, okay?
Okay. Well, I talked to the lieutenant, and apparently they caught the person who was impersonating me.
So,
Yes, Chase, I'm not actually responsible for them. Isn't that great?
It's good to hear the truth is coming out.
Yeah.
Miley will say,
We have
one step at a time. Right?
thanks.
We gotta stick together, right, Chase?
We don't have to talk to each other. We just have to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talking doesn't really need to happen. Let's go catch up with Chase and Tiffany.
Cassie and Tiffany.
I don't want to wake Fabian up while all this is going on without having some idea how to protect him.
You guys will reconvene again, and Lieutenant Jenny and Rookie Nevi will start to make their way to the station. Are you going to follow? Those of you who are not Cassie and Noire, are you going to follow?
I would like to. I have a family member there,
Okay.
probably.
Okay.
Molly's interested in seeing who could be behind the bomb, so yeah, she's gonna follow too.
Chase won't. Chase will stay
Chase
outside.
won't.
He's gonna
Chase
look
will
for
stay outside. So you're not going to go to the station with them.
I'm going to go to the station, but I'm staying outside.
So you guys will make your way out of the hospital, and Lieutenant will first notice that you guys are following him to the station, and he will ask, "Are you all coming with?"
I have some business there, not related to them.
Fair enough. That is when Bullet and Lux will spot your group.
Molly will.
What happens? Bullet and
Molly-
Lux.
Lux grabs hold of reins, starts jerking, points down. There. Down. You need down now. Down.
Well, sorry, really quick, do we know where the others are, like Remy and you?
You can see them from your vantage point, I would say.
Okay, so at the rein tugging and whatnot, he'll seem hesitant, like, well, should we go down now, or should we get the others first?
Right, the others. Yeah, they should know. The humans look fine, right?
As soon
Yep.
as Lex said they should know, then yeah, Bullet will turn around and dash toward wherever he last saw them.
You can grab Ew if you'd like, who's I think up a wall. I think. And then you can grab Remy, who I think has been scoping out the streets, and I think you've been able to keep track of where he is. So if you want to gather them up and take them back to their owners, you can.
Then
do that
he
now.
will, yeah.
All right. So that the humans spot Bullet coming to your direction, carrying 3 other Pokemon. And Fern is already with you.
Puddle, I have a long talk to have with you.
Remy, you're alive. Oh, thank goodness.
Ooh is just ecstatic. He comes and he hugs Tiffany and he
Tiffany
starts
would have
crying.
dropped down and hugged back.
Yeah,
And Remy's
starts
kind of
crying, like happy
Then
tears.
proceeds to sniff him and realize, oh, buddy, what have you been eating?
And Remy will just go behind Noire first, in front. He's like he's just checking things out. He's making sure everything's fine before he brushes up against her leg.
Aww.
And after swooping down and dumping all the other Pokemon out of saddlebags or whatever, yeah, Bullet will zip over to Molly and start licking her.
Lux is still hanging out in the saddlebag for the moment.
No, he shook you off.
No, he is hiding. There's a police officer present.
Okay.
As ecstatic
Oh,
as he
I'm
is to
fine
see
with it.
Chase, he's not dumb.
Chase doesn't even flinch. He doesn't even look around for Lux. Yeah, he doesn't acknowledge.
Lieutenant will actually pipe up and say, your Pokemon went out on a stroll while you were unconscious?
The last thing I remember, I was in a completely different city. How I got here, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
if that key's
I woke
okay, my really rare shiny is okay. Yeah. I have so many questions.
You guys make it to the... he won't really ask any more questions. You guys get to the station. And when you get to the station, the lieutenant will pause for a moment, and he has a very odd look on his face. And he'll say, something's not right. And when you guys make your way over to open up the door opens, and it's very quiet in this building, like quieter than you would think it would be in a police station. At that point, when you can see through the door that there's a receptionist, Jenny, who appears to be slumped over on the desk, and there actually are a couple other Jennies you can see in the view who have collapsed to the floor. And as soon as you say that, the lieutenant takes out the gun that was on his holster, and he pulls it out. And then he says, Officer Nevi. Officer Nevi, and Nevi says, yeah, I see it. And she will also take out a nightstick that she has on her side. And he will turn to the rest of the group and he'll say, stay here. And he will make his way into the building, the very quiet building.
Wait, if it's psychic related, do you have any mental resistances?
I have some PB&J darts.
Don't worry, guys. I got a sandwich.
Yeah, I have a sandwich. I have some blocker darts.
And I assume they're all close enough to at least look inside through the door, right?
Yeah.
Could I roll a perception?
Sure.
I would also.
And I largely want to know too if I can see any, of that psychic residue stuff.
Sure.
18.
You don't notice any psychic residue. You don't think a psychic did this.
Okay, so then when Noire says that, Cassie just kind of frowns a little bit and shakes her head and says, "No, whatever did this, it wasn't psychic."
How do you know? Nevi asks.
Just gut feeling.
Okay. By this point, Lieutenant Jenny has a Pokeball out, and he tosses it, and the Pokeball opens, and out pops out a Donphan. A Donphan is an elephant-looking Pokemon.
Aww.
Yeah, it's like Fanpy except evolved.
Yes. And Lieutenant Jenny says, "All right, boy. See if you can." He says, "See if you can sniff out whoever doesn't belong here." And the Don fan makes a bit of a noise, and he goes in, and the lieutenant looks back, and he will, make his way with his pistol out, and so does Nevi. They will go into the building and leave you guys behind, unless you guys do something.
Chase is following as if he didn't hear that he was supposed to stay behind.
Okay.
So you're actually following them, or are you just going inside?
I'm following them.
Okay.
Okay, and you're not going to try to hide the fact that you're following them? You go and Lieutenant will say, "Mr. Rhodes, you shouldn't be in here. This is dangerous."
You shouldn't be here.
That's why I'm coming with you.
He says, "For your safety, Mr. Rhodes, I don't think that's a good idea."
And for your safety, I think it is.
He gives you a look again, and then you sort of like have a little bit of an exchange, and he's sizing you up very similarly to the way Jack Black was sizing you up back when you were kids. The difference is, back then when Jack Black was sizing you up, he didn't really seem to come up with a very good appraisal of you. This time, though, he seems to have a bit of respect. You see that his eyes can sense a little bit more respect. Complete opposite of when you were kids. And he says, "All right, Mr. Rhodes." He takes out something from his from his pocket. "Do you know how to use one of these? It's a taser."
No. But and then he pulls his hands out of his hoodie and he's got brass knuckles on. He's like, "But I know how to use these."
Fair enough. He says, "If we come up to a psychic, though, things might get a little bit hairy."
If I come up to a psychic, you just shoot at both of us, because I will be on that psychic.
Hopefully it won't come to that. So it's just Chase going in, correct? Everybody else is staying out?
Good.
And that goes with the Pokemon too. I'm talking to the Pokemon as well, if the Pokemon stay put or not.
Could Molly roll a stealth to try to follow quietly?
Oh yeah! Oh, absolutely.
Finally,
Actually, as soon as the guy is distracted, Lux would also like to try stealthing in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lux can.
And Cassie's not going to follow, Nevi and the lieutenant. But once they're out of that room, she is gonna step in to get a better
Good
look.
Lux.
Okay.
See everyone else moving. Okay, I guess we're going in. And she'll follow as well.
You roll a stealth if you'd like to follow. It's 15? Okay. Yeah, you guys, your stealths are pretty good. So
Okay,
you guys are
hold on,
going
I'm gonna
to...
ruin that really quick.
Hmm?
Oh, bullet stealth is actually not bad. Said I was gonna ruin
Well,
it.
seeing everyone else is going in,
All right.
he's going to
following
try
all.
stealthing as well. Of 8. That's my girl.
Okay. All right. So you guys try to follow after. So for everybody who comes into the room, and if you guys are making your way to the office, the entire office is eerily silent. You can hear the footsteps of the lieutenant and Nevi and Chase up ahead as it echoes down the hallway, because everyone in the station is asleep. Everyone's asleep.
So is it actually asleep?
Mm-hmm.
Asleep as opposed to just unconscious?
Are you gonna test that?
Oh yeah,
I
but
would
Cassie,
like
I think,
to.
is the only one who stayed behind. I think.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Noire did more too. No, Noire's rolling stuff as well. Okay, yeah, Cassie's the only
Okay.
one
Noor
who
was
stayed
going
behind.
to, but then she saw everyone else start.
Cassie's
going,
gonna
and
stay
she's
behind.
So isn't there following the lieutenant and Nevi, and Cassie's she went into the building but is not following
Yeah.
them. She's checking out that first
Yeah.
room, which I think
So
had
Cassie-
a Joy in it, the receptionist or whatever.
Had a
Not a
Jenny
Joy,
in it.
res-
Had a
okay.
Jenny in it. Yes, a receptionist Jenny, and
Yeah.
she's unconscious.
And she would check things like that, go over and check her, condition and everything. But if you want to focus on them first, that's cool.
No, you can check her condition.
Okay, would that be a medicine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else following, by the way? It's Molly's going in. Looks like some of the Pokemon are going in too.
I guess the better
Who's
question
not?
is who's not going.
Who's not
Who's
going
not?
Oh,
in?
just Cassandra now.
Just Cassandra.
And
Everybody
Fern.
else. And
Okay.
Fern is not going in.
She'll
we'll
tell
stay
her
with
to stick with
her.
her. Yeah.
She'll stare with Cassie. All right. You're gonna check on the condition of the Jenny, and the Jenny actually starts to stir a little bit. What happened?
That is a very good question. Do you remember anything?
The only thing I can think of is I heard I was at my desk and I heard singing.
Well, that could be a number of things as far as Cassie's aware. So, she'll nod and say, all right, do you remember anything specific about it? Where it was coming from? What it sounded like?
Well, it didn't. I know what you're probably thinking. It didn't sound like a Jigglypuff. It sounded like a woman's voice.
Like a
It
human
was a
woman.
woman's voice. Yes, it sounded like a woman's voice. She was singing. And then, I don't know, my eyes just started getting very heavy at that point.
Well, it sounds like you weren't the only one. You got your lieutenant and another officer heading out to check in the back. Are you feeling well?
Yes, she says, let me just get my bearings. And then she's starting to realize all of the other collapsed officers on the floor.
Yeah.
What in Arceus' name is going on here? She asks. Meanwhile, the rest of you, so Chase, you are going there with Lieutenant Jenny, and you're like going around. He's basically sneaking around with the Dawn fan up ahead, and